brings everyone together to fight for a shared goal, to push each other forward. It's what creates moments that we'll remember all our life.
Marking up for the game. Got
it! So mark your calendars and be a part of the battle for the ultimate trophy.
He's having a good day.
Because when we win for one,
are you kidding me?
We win for all.
"45 years ago, history was made here in the Philippines. Tonight we reach a new milestone, opening a new chapter of the 19th edition of World Basketball's greatest event for 15 months. 80 countries competed across 6 windows, in which 32 teams will now compete to take home the Naismith Trophy. Well, hello everybody, welcome here to the Philippine Arena for the 2023 FIBA Basketball World Cup. We're going to open up this event with Angola as they're taking on Italy. I'm your commentator, Josh Ben, alongside Coach Will Boyd. Coach, welcome to the Philippines.
Yeah, excited to be here, Josh. What a great event.
Win for all. Thank you so much for the opening choreography. You were great. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time to meet the teams for this afternoon's game. First, introducing
ladies and gentlemen, you are in for a showdown now. As we mentioned, the 19th edition of the FIBA Basketball World Cup hosted here in the Philippines, also joint hosted with Indonesia and in Japan. Now we're going to get set to introduce the teams for these big games coming up. At the moment, the Azzurri, Italia, coming out. Now, some key players here in the lineup, Coach. We had the likes of Marcus Smisu coming up, but that is one hell of a player there, Simone Fontecchio.
Yeah, you know, he's really stepped forward to be the star of this team. We saw it in 2022 at the Eurobasket, and I think he carried that on to the end of his NBA season with the Utah Jazz. So excited to see what he brings tonight.
Of course, other key players, Achille Polonara coming out in the lineup, and again, don't count out Gigi Datome, one of the legends, a household name in Italian basketball. Now, key thing here about Italy, of course, is they have never lost to an African team here at the FIBA World Cup. Again, it's going to be history for them. I mean, let's go back to 2019, the very last time they met Angola. I think you remember that game very well, Coach.
Trying to forget about it. You know, great team back then, a little more senior-oriented. They've introduced some of their younger guys to this group, but they're playing as well as anybody in the world right now, and I think really have a great chance of seeing the podium for the first time ever at the World Cup.
Italians coached by the great Gianmarco Pozzecco, a legendary player. Many may forget that in 2004, he was a part of an Italian team that defeated LeBron James, Allen Iverson, Tim Duncan in a pregame after the 2004 Olympics. But at the moment, now we're going to take a look at, you know, your former team and one of the powerhouses historically of African basketball, Angola.
Yeah, you know, this is really a new group. So only 3 of these players I coached back in 2019. They've introduced some of the young talent into this edition. So I'm excited to see how this group meshes.
Well, some of the key players you want to look out here for Angola, like some NBA superstar for the Atlanta Hawks, Bruno Fernando, but also Shilde Doudabi. You're a player who's very familiar with him.
You know, Shilde is the little engine that could. What he lacks in stature, he gains in heart. We had him back in 2018 at a practice, young 19-year-old then, and you could tell that his time was going to come. And obviously Bruno is a great addition, somebody that we really wanted to get into the fold back in 2019, and to see him here in uniform, I think is a great opportunity for all of Angolan fans.
Angola, of course, have lost 6 of their 8 opening games at the FIBA World Cup. As we mentioned, historically, one of the stronger teams in African basketball. But at the moment, of course, now, the way the game is progressing internationally, great teams coming from the FIBA Afro-Basket zone. Momentarily, we will stand for the national anthems of these two beautiful countries. And there you can see Coach GLaDOS currently now leading the way. Well, now, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to pay homage and respect. The opening game here is between Angola and Italy. Later on will be the big one, of course, as the host, Gilas Filipinas, they will be taking on the Dominican Republic.
Future generations of basketball stars. One little champion.
Okay, Coach, you think about the time of how these teams have got here. As we mentioned, 15 months, 6 windows. You know, only 32 teams could make it out of 80, but, you know, the 4 teams we have here, it's going to be a tough group, but, you know, in my mind, Italy probably could be one of the favorites.
I totally agree. They've played so well in their tune-up matches. They've got to be coming in here with a ton of confidence.
Well, now, ladies and gentlemen, we will pay respect and homage to the national anthems of Italy and Angola.
Please remain standing for the national anthem of Angola.
Two beautiful national anthems of two fantastic countries now representing their nations with their basketball teams. Currently, Italy will be taking on Angola. Well, the players, coaches, and officials will shake hands with each other. We're now less than 6 minutes away from tip-off, and momentarily we are going to introduce our 3 referees for tonight's game. And we're very proud to say we have some of the finest officials here in world basketball. They've done an excellent job in all of our competitions, from the Eurobasket, Afrobasket, AmeriCup, and Asia Cup. But tonight, it's all about the 2023 FIBA World Cup. Our 3 referees, Martin Bulic, Karabaki, Guilherme Locatelli, coming from Brazil, Turkey, and Croatia. Well, Coach, we're going to take a look now at the starting lineups of these two teams. I'm going to start with the Azzurri Italia. Now, one player, no doubt, we're going to see is Simone Fontecchio in their lineup.
Yeah, absolutely. He's had some really big games in their tune-up matches, carried a big load of their scoring last summer at the Eurobasket. I'm expecting them to really try to get him going early on. Great shooter, and when he's hot, he can make it with the best of them.
Well, lineups like Kine Polonara, who spent last season playing with Žalgiris. in the Lithuanian League, while Nicola Mele, the former NBA player, will start at the 5. Stefano Tonnet and Marcus Misu, the left-handed Italian magician. Well, to think about this, Simone Fontecchio is, as you know, probably the go-to player for the Azzurri here at the 2023 FIBA World Cup.
Yeah, no, I agree, but they have several players that can step up. Spissu especially is a guy that can really heat up. But for Simone, he's come such a long way. You know, he was at Alba Berlin when I was coaching in Germany, young player there. You can see his potential, but what he's developed into has been great to watch.
Well, Nico Mele, as you see in the 2022 FIBA Eurobasket, averaging 12.6 points per game and just under 5 rebounds. But he's going to have to really control the paint and be that force inside. Well, there's no other coach who wears his heart on his sleeve. Very emotional, but one of the greatest in the history of Italian basketball, Gianmarco Bazzecco. But now let's take a look at the starting lineup here for Angola. Well, some key players in this Angola lineup, but again, the one player people haven't talked about is that man there, Bruno Fernando.
Yeah, he's going to have to carry a huge load for them. Probably we'll see him more on the perimeter than what we do in the NBA. They just don't have a lot of shooting in their front court, so on that perimeter.
Also Gonçalves, Salomon Francisco will be in the starting lineup. But you mentioned Joseph Bango, but let's go back to Shilde Dundao. I mean, he is a top player for this Angola national team.
He really is. I mean, he's the engine of this group. They want to play fast. They want to.
3 times an NBA All-Star there. The likes of, well, we do apologize, but Bruno Fernando going back, drafted by the Atlanta Hawks. Spent a bit of time in the NBA G League as well, but then also went away from Atlanta playing for the likes of the Boston Celtics, but now he's back in Georgia. I mean, something about Atlanta that he loves.
He's been on the fringe. Hopefully he'll get his NBA shot soon enough. But Shilda's been on this stage a lot, so led his team, Petro Luanda, to the ball 2 years in a row, and has performed on the national team at a really high level.
Well, again, one of the more experienced coaches here, Jose Claros Canales, as we mentioned, first coach in history that won titles in 4 continents. Being in the presence of you're one of the top international coaches working with the Olympic team from Nigeria, this Angolan national team at the 2019 FIBA World Cup, but to win 4 continental titles, that says something.
Yeah, Pep has a resume that rivals anyone. So he's coached in Bahrain, Argentina, Canada, most recently in Japan, and of course here with the Angolan national team.
Well, the Filipino fans coming into the building, and again, somebody will tell you that basketball is a way of life out here, a matter of life and death, but then someone else will say to you that basketball in the Philippines is more important than that. They've come to see Simone Fontecchio, they've come to see Gigi Totome, and they've also come to see Bruno Fernando of Angola. And as we mentioned already at the beginning, the Italians undefeated against African teams here at the FIBA World Cup 2019. As you mentioned, you were the coach of that Angolan team when it was a heavy defeat, of course.
Yeah, I mean, I try to forget about it. They come in with a lot of confidence. So that 2019 team was a little more experienced, but I think this group, these young guys have had a lot of winning over the last 2 years. And certainly this summer's preparation has got them feeling good.
Well, Angola, one of the kings of African basketball, that have lost 6 of their opening 8 games. Well, Coach, wind the clock back. The first time Angola and the Philippines met in a FIBA World Cup was in Argentina in 1990. The Italians had an 8-point victory that evening. Can history be rewritten by the Angolans, or will the script be the same for the Azzurri?
I mean, they have their hands full, there's no question. I think if they can really get this tempo going, force some turnovers, and then, be a force on the offensive glass. I mean, if they do have an advantage, it's going to be with their front court size. Italy's a little bit smaller there, so maybe they can just create a lot of extra possessions because they'll need it.
Well, we do have a very beautiful sight there of traveling fans from Angola coming into the building here. Well, this is the Philippine Arena, capacity of 55,000. And as we mentioned, other games in this group, with Group A and Group B, will be played at the Araneta Arena, just in Quezon City. Well, if you're not nervous, there is something clearly wrong with you. Your opening game of the FIBA World Cup in 2019. I do hate to bring this up, Coach, but again, you know the nerves, the anxiety that goes through this player, but also the passion, the drive. This is the world stage. This is the FIBA World Cup.
No, you're absolutely right. And I think also in those first games, you know, it takes you a while to find your rhythm. Getting an easy basket, getting a turnover, finding something in transition, it's really important. So, you know, which team can get those easy baskets early on and kind of ease their way into the game.
Well, Bruno Fernando entering the court now, shaking hands with his opponents, paying homage to the referees. When the ball is up, business will start to get underway. Well, Melli is going to be a key factor along with Simone Fonseca. And again, it's very interesting to see Gigi Datome coming off the bench now, really moving in to that veteran role.
Yeah, I mean, he's obviously been the face of this team for quite some time. He can come onto this floor and knock down threes with the best of them still. But they lean on him for that leadership. I'm sure we're going to see some big moments from him throughout this tournament.
Well, Melli is going to jump this one with Jules Bango. Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be watching. Welcome to the Philippine Arena. This is the 2023 FIBA World Cup. Angolans trying to go quickly off the tip off of Joseph Bango, getting it to roll in. Nice stuff there from Angola.
Yeah, and that was actually, I think, a design set there from the tip. So really good stuff there from Pep.
The Italians' defense just getting caught asleep on the opening possession, but now can they get into a half-court set? Species running off the ball screen with Melli. Finds a big man. Good defense by the Angolans. Now we got numbers here. Makes a bit of contact, draws a foul. He'll go to the free throw line. While Angola turning the turnovers and converting them into transition points.
Yeah, can't get much better of a start than that. That's how they want to play.
Well, the foul is going to be called against Stefano Tonet. That he made the right contact there, but a beautiful transition play. They'll work themselves now with 2 free throws with Gonçalves. Goers now with a bit of early confidence, leading this one 5-0, the opening game for Group A here at the FIBA World Cup. Italians need to find a bit of a rhythm now. Spisu trying to be a floor general. He's trying to get the ball to Simone Fontecchio, but again, Angola's defensive plan, trying to make it hard as he kicks this one out, takes a deflection. Now will be baseline ball possession back to the Azzurri with 6 seconds on the shot clock.
Yeah, you know, surprisingly, Italy a little bit on their heels. You know, the pressure, I think, is affecting them.
The amount of top European talent that we have on the floor as well as African talent. Fontecchio goes baseline, the movement off the ball, subliminal coming from Fontecchio. Dundao now trying to orchestrate something here for Angola. Can they build off their early confidence? Trying to go baseline. There's a slight rejection there. They're going to call it goaltending. I believe the reason was probably because Polonara, we'll take a look at the replay momentarily.
Yeah, I was surprised at that call. You know, it looked to me like that was in play. I'm not sure. Maybe there was contact that went beyond reason there.
We're taking the 2 points away. I think the officials now are just going to try to discuss this one. So Claros is just saying, Pep Claros is just having a word with the referees. And the 2 points, yeah, they're going to count it. So
might have been excessive contact on the rim. That's the only thing I can come up with.
Angola trying to put a bit of full court pressure against the Italians. Spisu, no problem breaking this down. Spisu down the middle, puts a little teardrop. Fernando with the rebound. Angola's confidence building early. Trying to get something quick, tries to go baseline, can't get it. The Italians with another counterattack. Fontecchio kicks out to Spisu. This is what he likes to do from the perimeter. Again, nothing dropping here for the Azzurri. They're going to call a traveling violation, so see turnover there for Angola when they were building that momentum.
Yeah, I mean, the tempo is really in their favor right now. This is how they want to play. So, you know, I think Italy's going to have to find a little composure here, try to slow things down, get it more into the half court.
Well, the Italians trying to settle into their offense, trying to assert themselves, build that identity. While Angola, on the other hand, trying to go for something quick again, put it in the hands of the passing lanes. Let me tell you something right now, Coach. The Angolans' hot, it's very big at the moment.
No question. Their pressure is really excited things for them. Interesting, too, that they had Melli bringing it up on that last possession instead of their point guard.
Well, Francisco just putting his body on the line. And again, put it in the hands of the passing lanes. They have numbers. Dundao's going to go all the way. Doesn't convert it. But he'll go to the charity stripe, and at the moment, the Italians look a little bit shell-shocked.
Yeah, no question. You're going to see an early timeout here from Pizzeco, which makes a lot of sense. They just have not been themselves. The tempo, the pressure, all of it's gotten to them.
Well, credit to Angola's defense, as we mentioned, contesting every pass, making it very difficult for Italy. But, one thing Angola has to do is try to build that momentum early. Let's listen now to coach Gianmarco Pizzeco. Well, you can see already Angola with only 2 field goals in just under the first 2 minutes, but so far it's been the ability to try to get out in the open and really make it a fast tempo game for them.
Yeah, no question. Their pressure has sped Italy up quite a bit. That was interesting to see in that timeout. Coach Pizzeco, normally fiery, very calm, trying to get his groups, to settle down a little bit there. So we'll see what kind of effect that has coming out of this timeout.
Gianmarco Pizzeco, as we mentioned, one of the tougher players in Italian basketball history. Here's a look at the replay. That's the block shot they're going to call. No, the goaltending, which I guess was going to be called against Achille Polonara. Well, Melli, I thought, got a hand to it, but no, Melli touched the back a little bit.
Yeah, I'm still not seeing where they came up with that, but Angola will take it.
Well, free throws need to be the cornerstone for both these two teams, especially for Angola. I mean, you simply have to go up right to the charity stripe and make them. You don't want to look back and think the outcome could have been different had you made all your free throws.
And it'll set up their pressure for them, so that's going to be important as well.
Angola with a 9-2 lead here early on in the first quarter. The Italians still soul-searching here, trying to find that rhythm. Well, now I look for a down low, finds Toned. I think they're going to have a foul here called against Francisco just off the ball. That's going to be the first team foul, or no, excuse me, second team foul for Angola.
Yeah, good set coming out of that timeout. Little shuffle cut there.
Polonara going baseline, splits the defense, kicks out to Toned. 3 is up and again, no good. Well, Polonara just saving this one from going out of bounds, but it's going to be a kickball violation. So the Italians, another chance to reassert themselves. Angola's defense just frustrating the Azzurri. Speaks going back door, didn't see it coming. Once Polonara goes in with a reverse layup, but again, a foul's gonna be called, so Achille Polonara will go to the free throw line here for the Italians.
And you can see them, finding some great cutting action here, and that's going to be part of the solution. So the Angolan players are going to be extended out with that pressure, and that's going to give opportunities to cut back door. That's going to be something they're going to have to explore more in this game.
Well, traditionally likes to play a center role for all the clubs he's played for so far. Spent a little bit of time with Dinamo Sassari. The pedigree of his game is he is a perimeter shooter for a big man.
All of the Italian bigs are very skilled. All of them can come out to the perimeter and knock down shots.
Converts both free throws from the charity stripe. Tome leading off for the bench with his leadership. At some point, we're going to see him check into the game. Jesse Naga looking for a handoff, finding Jim down now. There's a penetration, goes baseline, goes up, tries to throw it down. Well, again, good rim protection by Melli. But the Angolans come up in, and Bruno Fernando, he is starting to cook here at the moment.
Angola just playing with a ton of confidence right now.
Oh, Lord have mercy on this play. He went to try and serve him up, but again, Melli maybe just doing enough there from preventing him from being on all the social media platforms. Going back door, finds Toned. Toned goes up, and a goaltending violation is going to be called again. Coach, you have to appreciate how quick the Angolans try to make every effort to rotate on defense.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, you're seeing another backdoor cut. I'm assuming that was the focus of them after that timeout.
The Italians now slowly trying to break down the Angola defense. Fernando missing the backdoor, but getting a handoff. Time winding down. Under 10 here on the shot clock. Dundal coming off one screen. Hesitation move goes in. And again, put a bit of trickery in there. Well, that's a tough move there by Dundal. He's trying to go to their half-court set here. The question is, can they build up something to get a wide-open look? Who's been a little bit quiet, but draws a foul there against Francisco. And there's the backdoor play. Fernando, I mean, it's a goaltend, but he's phenomenal. The Dow just Akile Polonara off the ground. Shocking into the game is Leonel Paulo, one of the veterans, 36 years of age. He's now in 3 FIBA World Cups here for Angola. Tona now. Attack the defense, kicks out to Spisu. Spisu wide open for 3 again, makes it from downtown. And that's the confidence the Italians need.
Yeah, finding a way to get to the rim, that's going to suck in all those defenders. So I would expect to see a lot more of that as well from Italy.
Well, Maku Spisu was one of the key components of the Azzurri's offense last summer at the FIBA Eurobasket. They're looking to take on Akile Polonara. Puts his hand inside the keeper up, and I would say baseline to Angola. Angola's getting ready to make a change at the moment. Comes out of the game. Kick out here, the ball reversal. Spisu wide open. Just nails the three-pointer. Spisu has to be fired here tonight. Is now down the other end. The Angolans failing to push the tempo. Still leading by 4 points. The Italians looking to make this a one-possession game. Going to be pulled on the ground against Bruno Fernando. Our coach, of course, defensively, what do you think might be some vulnerabilities for Angola playing against this Italian team?
Well, again, it's the pressure on the perimeter. Can you puncture that with the backdoor cuts, with some back screens? We've seen a little bit of that. And then driving and kicking. They're getting them into some closeouts, been able to attack there as well.
Tona coming off one ball screen. Fonseca guided by the veteran, Leonel Paulo. Polonara, he'll fire for 3. I think he got a hand to it. Now he fires Polonara. Oh my goodness! Well, Akile Polonara, he was ready to serve up an entree there, but he's going to go to the free throw line for 2 shots. The Angolans, in cases they didn't box out on the block shot.
Well, one of the things about the pace of play is that they're looking to leak out. We've seen it a couple of times where perimeter defenders have been looking to transition rather than get back, and it's hurt them on the glass a little bit.
Polonara has been a very successful journeyman in his European career, as we mentioned. He just played for Žalgiris in Lithuania. The Italians slowly but surely just trying to build into this game, but again, Polonara, one of the players you would expect to step up to the free throw line and, to really knock these down.
Yeah, I still think that they've, trying to find their confidence a little bit. They seem a little more settled now, but, obviously there's a higher benchmark for them to go.
He's able to cut it down to a 3-point ball game. Angola still playing off the energy. The question for them is, can they get something here in the half court? Looking for a handoff. Takes a penetration out. Again, good defense by the Azzurri. That's going to go out of bounds. I think that might be Angola. But no. They're going to pull it back to the Italians, but again, you look at Angola's half-court offense. What's something that they could really try to improve on here in the first quarter?
Well, I think it's, when they get into the half-court, probably Bruno Fernando is going to be a featured player for them. But the honest answer is they don't want to be in the half-court. They want to keep this thing up and down, try to find numbers in transition as much as possible.
Angola's identity here on their offense has been transition, but again, the question will be is how long for 40 minutes can they maintain that energy? Spisu down here in the backcourt. Italians can't tie the game up. The penetration, he gets fouled by Leonel Paulo. It's good to see Leonel Paulo now. Maybe just a little bit more, say, friendly this time against the Italians. But let me tell you something, I got to pay a lot of homage to Leonel Paulo, a prime-time professional, though.
Oh, no question. I mean, the physical shape he keeps himself in is incredible. One of the players that I, was lucky enough to coach my time on the national team. Not only a great leader, but, always an energy guy when he comes into the game, even at this advanced age.
Well, speaking of tough professionals, Stefano Tona currently at the free throw line here for the Azzurri. Now currently playing for Olimpia Milano, many considered to be one of the greatest teams in the history of Italian basketball. Getting it down to a one-point ball game. The Italians within touching distance again. Achille Polonara making Angola choke under intense pressure. Bruno Fernando. Well, I think Gianmarco Bozecco was wide open on that play.
Yeah, that'll drive you crazy. That was all him, just a one-man press. They should handle that better than they did.
Well, Tony Nagant unable to secure this one, but again, he's just able to save it. They tried to go for the quick play, Marcos Spisu, but Angola's defense just reacting quickly in time. 12 here on the shot clock for the Italians. Polonara looking to flash out here. Almost turned to go. And then, we saw the same exact play only a few moments ago. A Polonara penetration, trying to find Simone Fontecchio. And the Angolans, they know how to react on defense.
Yeah, they've done a great job of rotating down. That's how they want to play. They want to get you playing a little faster than what you want to be.
Polonara wide open for three, can't get it. Melli trying to go for the tip back. Angola leading still by just 1 point. Can they reassert themselves? This is what they want with Bruno Fernando. Again, the double team's coming in. Same thing, Bruno Fernando. He throws it away. And at the moment, both teams just going through a sloppy passage of play here at the moment.
Yeah, Bruno's having to take on a scoring role that maybe is not his natural position. You see the double team coming from the baseline there. I'm sure Italy was prepared for that.
I think he was hoping Dundal was going to, flash to the weak side in the corner. But again, Angola, as you mentioned, known for their half-court sets, especially at this level. They want to play in the open court. Italians again now. They can take the lead here for the first time. We're halfway played here in the first quarter. Spisu finding Melli. Melli goes up, and my goodness gracious! Nico Melli! Are you kidding me? Well, he just served up the help side defense. The Italians now for the first time have the lead here. They're going for a three-pointer, can't get it. Polonara with a rebound, but that's going to go out of bounds. Now go possession back to Azzurri. Again, I want to see a replay of that man's big-time dunk here in the early stages. Well, this is what I like to call buonanotte, molto grazie. He throws it down with a bit of authority, with no regard for Bruno Fernando's feelings.
That was a great seal there, too. That was a design play off the pick and roll to get it to him there. Good set there from coach.
Well, legendary Gigi Datome just checking into the game for the Azzurri. Italians now looking to extend their 1-point lead. He's finding it very hard to break down the backcourt here, but Datome goes for a quick three-pointer. Can't get it. Malo with a rebound, but again, anticipation here by Marcos Spisu. That's got to be Italians' ball. It's a wasted opportunity for Angola to try to get the ball forward.
Yeah, they really need to take advantage of those opportunities. Italy was lurking in the outlet there, but Angola is not going to stop trying to run. That is their game plan. We've seen them already struggle a little bit in the half court.
Well, Achille Polonara just going to the bench, of course, playing some steady minutes for the Italians. Richie checks in now for the Italians, but Datome, same place again. It's different result this time as Gigi fires it in for the corner. The assist coming from Simone Fontecchio, and now Angola, they have a problem. They're going to call timeout as they want to talk it over.
Yeah, and you see the difference here. The previous plays, they've been rotating down, taking that corner three away. This time, no defender there. Wide open look for Gigi, and he's not going to miss that very often.
Let's listen now to what they have to say.
¿Qué ayuda necesitamos al Coutinho? Tenemos que jugar defensa sólido. Un contra uno. Pick and roll, tienes que empujar o pegando. You gotta push him away. You cannot be behind and let him get the dunk on you. On offense. Next play, we run 45. We run Nana. On Nana. Remember stats. So what we want first. 1, 2, go. This guy will go to help. 1, 2, 3. Hey, vamos a competir, estamos más lejos. La defensa. Vamos a competir.
Well, quite a fiery timeout there, and again, welcome to one of the legends of international basketball, Mr. Dirk Nowitzki, and again, right in front of us, Coach.
Yeah, no, great to see him here in the crowd, and you know, interesting during that timeout, my Portuguese is a little rusty, but you know, Coach Claros was talking about their one-on-one defense and the breakdowns that they've been having recently on the perimeter. So for sure, we've been seeing that with the penetration and kickouts, something that Angola is going to have to get a little bit better.
Well, Kile Molinaro currently on the bench. Simone Fontecchio relatively quiet so far from his standards, but again, that's been down to Angola's defense, trying to make it very difficult for him. Well, checking into the game for the Italians, number 54, Pagiola. Well, the depth of the Italian team does go very far, of course. Domingos also checking into the game now for the Angolas. Can he get something here with a pick and pop? Three is up, he just runs its way in and out. Melli with the rebounds. Well, the big man looking to go coast to coast here, but good recovery defense by De Souza. Back to Melli. No charge called. Melli pump fakes, goes in again. Defense. Well, they thought there was going to be a charge or a block, but nothing was called. They're trying to go pick and roll here. Italians defense making it very hard to break down. Going for the post-up. Melli trying to stand strong. Again, secures a rebound. A 6-point lead to Italians. Fontecchio going baseline. No look dive. Finds Datome. Here is up. And again, good build-up. The end product just not there.
Yeah, living dangerously again. You know, we're seeing those baseline drives pretty frequently. Angola's got to consistently drop down to that corner.
The foul is going to be called against Alessandro Pagiola. It's going to call for a blocking foul. Here's a replay of Melli's. Melli was expecting an offensive foul was going to be called. Yeah, Angola thought there was going to be a charge, but in the end, I don't think he realized how wide open he was.
Well, I doubt he's going to get an easier one than that tonight. You know, that's the danger. You know, when you draw the contact and you're trying to get the call, if you don't get it, you're giving up layups.
Well, Melli at the moment, 3 rebounds along with 4 points. Still relatively low scoring right now here in the first quarter. They're trying to go for another 3-pointer. Now Paulo going for a big offensive rebound. So I think Angola can try to give themselves a chance if they go for more of those. Italians defense making this very difficult for Angola's offense.
Yeah, and that's, you know, where their lack of shooting kind of shines there. You know, this national team, Carlos Moraes not there. They just don't have a lot of perimeter guys that can go to.
Well, 2.9 seconds left here on the shot clock. They get inbound. They turn it over. And the Italians have numbers. We're kicking this one in the corner. Finding Richie wide open for 3. Very good looks, but nothing quite dropping. Going back to what you said there, Carlos Moraes, one of the, you know, probably going to go down in history as one of the greatest Angolan players ever.
Oh, absolutely. You know, I was lucky enough to coach him on the national team back in 2019. Still playing at a really high level for Petro Luanda. Can still shoot it with the best of them. And on a team that's lacking shooting, you know, surprising he wasn't on this roster.
Well, a legal screen is going to be called against Angola's number 22, Silvio De Souza. Another costly turnover now for Angola. Can they get something here on defense? Lucas Severini also checking in for the Azzurri. There's the pick and roll. Severini wide open, he'll take it. Keep dropping for the Italians from downtown. Again, another turnover, this time by Lionel Paulo. Let's take care of the basketball. They told me wide open, another 3-pointer. Italians fighting for offensive rebounds, and now you're going to see Gianpaolo Ricci. He'll go to the free throw line. That is why you always go in for second chances.
No, absolutely, and you can see the body language in Angola really shifting here. Couple of careless turnovers, the offensive rebound here. They've got to find themselves pretty quickly. I think Italy can push this thing way out.
Now Paolo and Kevin Kokila will check out the game. They'll take a little breather. Back into the game for Angola. Number 0, Francisco. At the moment, they just need the one player to be a bit of inspiration, a bit of impetus, in their offense.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see how long Dundao stays on the bench. He's really kind of been that spark plug for them, and they're lacking a little of that energy right now.
The free throw has been missed. The Italians showing a little bit of a slight Achilles heel here from the free throw line, something Angola might want to take into consideration as this game progresses. She makes the second one. 1:24 to go here in the first quarter. The Italians lead 20-13 in the opening game of Group A of the 2023 FIBA World Cup. They came out of this game with a lot of energy, trying to get things going in transition. As the backdoor play goes up, it gets rejected. They'll make that another block, but a foul is going to be called. This is what Angola needs to go in for second chances, but again, they've got to be able to convert free throws when they go to the charity stripe.
Yeah, absolutely, and they've been going to this horn set quite a bit over the last 2-3 minutes, just trying to find something where they can get a little rhythm out of.
Well, that was a solid block there by Gianpaolo Ricci. Again, even better play from Angola's big man De Souza as he came up with the offensive rebound, but can he convert the free throws? Again, when you look at this Angola team, again, who are going to be the key players when you think about the future of their national team?
Well, there's a lot of young talent on the floor. Silvio's being, a great example of that. Bruno Fernando, these guys are appearing on the big stage for, the first time. So you got to expect there'll be a little bit of growing pains, but it's a great experience for all of them.
Angola preparing for the future, trying to build future superstars, while the Italians, a very mixed crop of young players, also with veterans and current superstars. Ricci goes for three. Three is up. Again, no good. It's going to go out of bounds, but Domingo's just able to keep that one in. Angola potentially could go 2 for 1, but Domingo's unable to secure the three-pointer. Again, at times looking to very vulnerable when taking care of the ball, and a foul's going to be called. Claros, he wants an unsportsmanlike.
Yeah, I think he's got a good argument there, too. It'll be interesting what the officials decide.
So Miller was out of control there when he was handling the ball. You can see he was looking very uncomfortable. Help side defense from Domingos.
And that's what they got to get back to. Spagnola just in the game hasn't really felt his way through. So picking him up, pressuring, trying to force these turnovers. That's how they're going to stay in the game.
Well, 3 referees now are going to go over to review defensive play. We're going to listen to what they have to say to get their opinions. Will this be upgraded to an unsportsmanlike foul? As Angola currently trailing by 5 points with 27.5 seconds left. Let's listen now to our officials. Well, the upgrade has been made, so Angola now will get 2 free throws, and they're going to get the ball back, and that is going to be a crucial game changer. 3 seconds difference between game and shot clock, Coach.
Yeah, that's a big call, and hopefully Angola can find some momentum from this. So we haven't seen them execute very well in the half court, but this is a great opportunity for them to come up with whatever that go-to play is for them.
Well, currently the free throw line, Gerson Domingos. But again, he needs to be a key floor general on the backcourt for the Angolans. And as we mentioned, where they struggle in the half court, they make up for it in transition. The Italians, you can see the confidence really has been knocked out of this team.
Yeah, and Gerson's a player who can get hot. Streaky outside shooter, but he had some big games for us back in 2019 as well. So maybe those free throws can help him find a rhythm there.
Angola can try to dribble this down as close as possible for the very last shot. Actually, it's going to be a 14 seconds. Now the time has been a little bit shorter. So they kick out. That's to shoot the three-pointer to tie the game up. No good. Italians come up with it. Spagnola looking to look full screen here. Mascajola kicks out the corner. Another three is up, and the three is good. Right at the dying moments of the first quarter. Well, nice little play there by Severini, able to knock that one down. And the Italians holding on to a 6-point lead. Well, the tray ball. That's going to keep Gianmarco Bazzecco very happy. His team is able to build on their identity here in the second quarter.
Yeah, I mean, huge swing there at the end. Really a 5-point play if you think about it. Angola just couldn't really find any rhythm in the half court in that quarter. We saw it again in that last play, and that's going to be the tail of the game. They're going to struggle when they're in that half court. Just a lack of shooting. Got to continue to find turnovers and keep this game up pace.
Well, here are the statistics from the first quarter. Angola shooting 5 for 11 from inside the rainbow. Haven't made a three-pointer so far. The Italians, it's only 25%. They do have 3 triples. 2 of those, of course, coming from Gigi Datome. Well, momentarily, we will take a look at the highlights here from the first quarter. The Italians, of course, been frustrated by the Angolans. Angola doing a good job in the early stages of converting the turnovers into transition points, but is that going to be something they're going to try to live for the rest of the game?
Well, it's a hard way to live. So obviously, you're trying to force those turnovers. You're trying to get offensive rebound putbacks, but against a good team, you can't just live there.
Well, there's a three-pointer come from Marcus Spisu. Spisu finding Melli. That was a two-handed jam, just getting the seal off on the defense. Well, that's just simple post footwork by Nicola Melli. Again, you always love to see veteran players still playing for the national team, because this is what FIBA World Cup basketball is all about. Well, ladies and gentlemen, there is the QR code for Courtside 1891. You can get all the best live stream scores and coverage of international hoops. Currently now, it is the 2023 FIBA Basketball World Cup. Make sure you use that Courtside QR code to get all the best games. The Italians will get the first possession. Again, Bruno Fernando, he's got to find himself in this game at the moment. If Angola's going to have any hope, he has to be a key factor.
No, I agree. And, I was a little surprised that Angola didn't go to more simple actions, just high ball screen with Domingos and Bruno, or maybe with Schulden and Bruno as well, just to see if they can find a rhythm for him as a player.
Well, Gigi getting a wide open look as Datome unable to knock down a three-pointer. Kenny going all the way, finds Francisco, goes up, and another foul's gonna be called. And Gigi Datome just signaling to our official, hey, I got all ball there.
Yeah, great pass there from Lucchini. A really smooth player, and he's another guy that can shine in the open court.
Going back to charity stripes, something they gotta really try to take advantage of in this game. They're gonna try to get out in the open court. They're gonna try and obviously go for the dribble penetrations and dish off, going the baseline cuts, but they have to make the free throws.
Yeah, and Eduardo Francisco here, great story of a young player in Angola that made his way to Portugal, identified as, I believe, a 15-year-old, and has been in Benfica's youth program since then.
Well, Benfica having a relatively good season this year with the Basketball Champions League, the first ever Portuguese team to ever play at that level. Right now, his mindset is all for the national team at the FIBA World Cup. Almost turn it over. Just at it now. Angola looking to push this one. Can he draw another foul here against Spagnola?
Yeah, interesting to see the young guards having to adjust to the pressure as well. We saw it with the more veteran guys. Even Spisu had a hard time initially, but with Spagnola and Pajola in the game, probably going to take them a little while to find their comfort level.
Well, Procida checking into the game for the Azzurri. The Italians, at one point you felt they were really going to run away with this one. They still lead by 5 points.
And here we see that Nana set once again, that horns and pop action that they seem to like.
Well, the Migos coming off that so perfectly, took it in the lane. And again, showing no fear whatsoever against the Italians' defense. He's trying to get into a half-court set here. Three-point shooting hasn't been dropping so far for the Azzurri. They're going to keep going to their bread and butter. Only kicking this one out. Go for a deep one. Three is up. That's way off the mark. Again, the Italians unable to secure anything. The Angolans will get this back. It's only a one-possession game with 8:40 to go here in the second quarter. Look at Domingo. She's able to spin out. She's going right to the bucket. He's fearless.
He really is. You know, again, I mentioned it earlier. He's a guy that can heat up, not afraid to get into the paint and mix it up. And I think being a lefty also helps him with some of these finishes.
Well, Angola and Italy have only met 2 times in the FIBA World Cup. The most recent one was in 2019. Well, Fernando going in with a little teardrop, but that's much better, showing his confidence, and he's got to build on that one.
And I think that's the way for them to play. You know, simple sets that they find their comfort in, try to get a rhythm out of that.
Tony coming off a hot screen. She's going off a pick and pop now. Another three-pointer, another miss for the Italians. Again, they're getting good looks. They're moving the ball well, but can they get them to? It's just not dropping.
Yeah, all this rotation is leading to some open threes for Italy.
The Italians need to find other ways to score in this game. Angola can try to retake the lead. You felt when the Italians took over the possession that it was going to be their game, but going for a mid-range fadeaway, can't get it. Foul is going to be called here against Fernandez.
Yeah, and that's the discipline that sometimes Angola is lacking. So, you know, we see the long contested 2 there from Lucchini. Then they compound that with the full court foul. That's really unnecessary. They're going to have to be smarter with their execution in the half court to have a chance to pull off this upset.
Well, Fontecchio has had a very tough start to this game so far. You can credit that down to Angola's defense. The Italians also make another change. Also, there you can see Angola. Gershon Domingos just going to the benches. Shoge Dunda coming back into the game. Italians going again. Back to this half-court set. Trying to find something here in their offense. Fontecchio for 3. That's way off the mark. Well, that's good defense by Francisco. But can Angola now? Can they get something? Can they retake the lead? They're going for a step-back three-pointer. Can't get it, but Dundao going for an offensive rebound. This is going to get called for the foul.
Yeah, interesting to see Coach Pazecco quickly come back with the more experienced backcourt there. You know, obviously didn't like what he saw from the young guys, but, you know, important minutes for those young guys as well. They're going to need them throughout this tournament.
For case of Marcus Spisu not boxing out. Shoge Dundao. Now there's going to be 14 seconds left here on the shot clock. The Italians already have 3 team fouls. Can Angola yet again try to retake the lead? Down looking to run circles around the defense. Tries to go for another three-pointer. Block in this one. Close to Bruno Fernandez. Again, he's gonna. Fernando doesn't get called for the foul. I think the crowd was speechless on that one.
Well, you know, it's interesting too. It went really close to a shot clock violation there.
Well, Bruno Fernando, I don't think he realized he had time left there, but again, no problem for him. Stefano Tona goes up, and Fernando has a rejection. It's going to be 2 free throws coming up for Stefano Tona. The man who was drafted by the Atlanta Hawks, spent some time with the Boston Celtics. Here's a look at the replay. That was a three-point. I'm going to ask you, Coach, would you call that a foul?
No blood, no foul.
Fernando tough as nails, we mentioned. Back with the Atlanta Hawks in the NBA. Stefano Tona is able to make the free throws now. Italians retake the lead. Just on the halfway plate so far here in the second quarter. 19th FIBA World Cup. Group A, of course, the second game today will be between the Philippines as Fernando goes in. And Fernando, again, no help side defense, throws it down.
Yeah, and that's a great set there. You know, Shilda Dundao setting the ball screen for Bruno. I'd love to see them go back to that action again.
Well, Fernando just went in and said, obrigado. Defense nowhere to be seen. Boa noche, good night. That is for you. He loves it. He loves the occasion.
Yeah, and that, you know, he's going to have to get involved in the game somehow. So I think finding unique sets like that last one, because he has an athletic advantage, obviously. So hopefully we'll see more of that from him.
Well, at the moment, these two teams just going back and forth. I mean, it's fair to say the Italians probably have been frustrated. I mean, Angola's game plan is working, but let's listen out to Coach Pizzeco. Well, again, you know, one thing I'm very interested in the fact and surprised to see Gianmarco Pizzeco not so animated as he usually would be in this kind of situation.
Yeah, you know, interesting. Once again, the timeout, very calm there. I'm sure he has a lot of confidence that they'll find a way to win the game. But he also understands. You know, he also understands the moment, though. Young guys at the big stage for the first time, there's going to be some growing pains. So, you know, will we see the outburst at some point? For sure we will, but I think he's just feeling his way through this group right now.
Well, here's another look at the replay of Bruno Fernando's dunk. Again, no help side defense yet to be seen from the Italians. Angola retaking the lead by 1 point. Well, Gianmarco Pizzeco, as we mentioned, relatively calm here, but you can definitely see not quite too happy with his players and their start here in the first half. Stefano being heavily defended. The Blues are going all the way, and again, taking McKinney back to school. That's a tough move there. Wow, very good player. Both Angola and the Italians just going right back and forth at each other. 10 here on the shot clock. Francisco giving this one up. Dow's got to get something going off the ball screen. Pulls up for three. The three is up. The three is good. That's a tough shot there by Shilda Dundao.
Yeah, you know, I'm not sure that's the one they wanted, but they'll certainly take it.
The Italians, as we mentioned, getting good offenses, building big shots up. Stefano Tona at the moment becoming a man possessed, attacking the Angola defense. And go back to the free throw line. That's something the Italians need to do, of course, to settle into this game. Get to the free throw line. But with Angola into a bit of foul trouble.
Yeah, and you see here, you know, Tonet's really found a way, I think, attacking their closeouts once they get into that scramble mode.
Well, Bruno Fernando just giving the sign to, that was a three-pointer by Dundao, but giving the signal to Coach Claris, like, don't sub me out. I'm okay right now. I'll be disciplined. But again, Angola need him to play 4 quarters.
Oh, absolutely. You know, I think they're going to have to get heavy minutes from Dundao and Bruno as well, and really play through them a lot when they're in those half-court situations.
Stefano Tona making the second free throw, tying this game up here at 29 apiece. Now we just get set to reach the halfway mark of the second quarter. Remember, it's the opening game of the 2023 FIBA World Cup of Group A. Well, Bruno Fernando for 3. He'll pull up. Get it, but again, another offensive rebound for the Angolans. The three-pointer didn't go for it. 5 here on the shot clock. Finds Dundao, made his last one again, makes another one, and turns around just to give a little bit of a signal there to Dirk Nowitzki. I'm on fire right now.
Yeah, that was a really good possession, maybe the best possession they've had in the half. They went back to that same set with Dundao setting the ball screen for Bruno, and you know, this one a much better in rhythm three-point shot.
Well, again, finding his confidence from the perimeter. Angolan fans waving the flag around here at the Philippine Arena. They are starting to believe in themselves. Again, I really hate to bring this one up again, but the last time these two teams met, it was a very tough game. But now you can see it's a different Angola mindset, I'd say.
Yeah, I mean, they're getting confidence with every minute that they're closer, with the lead right now. And the pressure's really been the difference. When Dundal's been in the game, I think he's energized the group.
5 seconds now. Spisu. There's a bit of contact. They're going to call a foul against. This is going to be against De Souza. Slight delay in the call, but I think that's the right decision by the official.
Yeah, a little late on the whistle, but he definitely has the right call.
Just coming out a little bit too late to show on the ball screen. Italians yet to try and get into fire in this game as Fontecchio hangs in the air, and somehow, someway, Signore Fontecchio just kisses that one off the backboard.
And he needs to be assertive right now. The game and the balance early on, I think it's time for him to step forward a little bit.
Well, the elevation on that penetration. Angola still leading by 1 point. Going for another three-pointer, can't get it. Fontecchio maybe building confidence here. Kicks out to Spisu. He's made 1 3 so far. Doesn't get it, but Polonara an offensive rebound. The put back no good. Angola just surviving that defensive situation. Again, they throw it right away again. Now, can the Italians capitalize? So trying to go for the no-look pass against Fontecchio. Wasn't wide open, but that will be the Italian possession on the baseline. Look at this move here, coach. I mean, Fontecchio, he's used to being at high altitude in Salt Lake City, but again, this man flying in the air right now. Fontecchio finding Polonara. Another foul is going to be called here, so Aquile will go to the free throw line yet again.
And you can see Fontecchio in these last 2 plays, really stepping forward as a dynamic playmaker and finisher for them. I think he's got to sense that moment. That's that final step for him on this big stage. When his team is a little tight and they need somebody to come forward, he's got to fill that role for them.
As we mentioned already with these two teams, it's all about making history, of course. The Italians, one of the more infamous teams when it comes to the FIBA Euro basketball. When it comes to FIBA World Cups, the success hasn't always been there. The highest finish that they ever had in the FIBA World Cup was in 1978, and that was here in the Philippines, finishing 4th place. Since then, it's not been something that they've been too successful at.
Yeah, and you see Italy in a 2-3 zone here. First time they showed that look.
Easy breakdown there. The Benfica superstar Francisco show no problem. Fontecchio goes in again, only one defender. And Simone starting to look more aggressive now when he attacks the bucket.
Yeah, Italy back in that 2-3.
Francisco was able to attack it early on. Down with the penetration, avoids the block, goes in. De Souza unable to get the offensive rebound, so the Italians leading by 1 point with 2:50 to go. They will get the ball back.
Yeah, trying to break up the rhythm of the game. Interesting to come with the zone defense. You actually don't see them use it a lot, or they didn't use it a lot in their tune-up games.
There's Fontecchio again, as we mentioned. Using the length, the athleticism, just to attack the basket in transition. The Italians looking to extend now with a 1 point lead. Finding Fontecchio. Fontecchio pulling the trigger from the three-pointer. Unable to get something going for downtown. Angola looking to retake the lead. Trailing by 1 point. Montero tries a three-pointer. The Suns are fighting for offensive boards. It goes out of bounds, but they'll get it back on the baseline.
Yeah, I think that's a shot that they'll live with. Montero is one of their better shooters. Those early threes give them rebounding opportunities. So, that's a play that they like.
Angola's best finish at a FIBA World Cup was in 2006. Summertime in Japan, where Pau Gasol led the Spanish national team to victory against the Greeks. Now Angola trying to make their own history again. Another three-pointer. I don't know if he's going to get the assist on that one or if De Souza's going to get an offensive rebound, but one thing is for sure, he's going to give Angola a 1 point lead.
And that's one of the things with the zone is there's no block-out responsibilities, and Angola can find those offensive rebounds there.
Polonara now going baseline, draws another foul again. The Italians Or in the penalty, so they will go back to the charity stripe. It's something that's been key for them so far here in the second quarter.
Yeah, you know, they've done a good job of attacking those closeouts. Those free throws have, as you said, kept them in this game so far.
There's the penetration by Polonara. The Italians right now, they have shot excellent so far from the charity stripe, 12 for 14. That starts to make you think for Angola defensively. Coach Claris has got to say, look, we cannot afford to put these guys at the charity stripe too early.
Yeah, you know, I think it's the careless ones that hurt. They play so aggressively. There's going to be fouls. I think they understand that. But, you know, there have been several where, you know, you really didn't need it. And that's where they have to be a little more careful.
Under 2 minutes to go here in the first half. Polonara making the second one now. The Italians, they retake the lead. This game becoming almost like a mini roller coaster.
Italy back in the man-to-man here.
Montero thought about going for the three-pointer. That's a penetration, nowhere to go, and it's going to be a traveling violation.
Yeah, it's a great, what they call a next perimeter rotation. So the help came not from the big in the pick and roll, but from the perimeter defender. Italy does a lot of switching 1 through 5. They're very good at rotating out of it as well.
That's the 9th turnover now for the Angolans here in this game. Italians only 4 turnovers so far. Stefano Tona being heavily defended. Ball reversal, there's the penetration. Goes up again, another foul. This one's going to be called against De Souza. And Coach Claros, he is infuriated with that decision.
Yeah, that's a tough call right there. Well, you know, you see a little bit of that off arm, you know, which is a mistake by Silvio, but that's kind of what they want. They've got the, you know, Pajola, the young player, getting downhill and coming up against some big bodies. So I think that's sort of their style of play defensively for Angola. They'll live with that.
Well, currently the free throw line, number 54, Alessandro Pajola, currently playing in Bologna, which historically is known as one of the powerhouse cities of European basketball, with 2 big teams, of course, with Virtus and Fortitudo, but he is currently with Virtus Bologna.
Yeah, talented young player, just 23 years old. He's actually with the Dallas Mavs in Summerlin. I got to see him play this summer.
The Italians now extending this to a 3-point lead. Just over 1 minute to go as Montero tries another one. Well, he's fouled, so he'll go to the charity stripe now for 3 free throws. The foul is against Simone Fontecchio. I think you gathered his response to his body action there to the referee.
Well, you know, this is not a team that you want to foul on the perimeter. You know, they don't really have a 3-point threat that would justify being that pressed up and close.
Again, both teams trying to settle into this game. It's fair to say the Angolans, their defensive game plan slowly coming to work here, because the Italians clearly getting frustrated on every single possession.
Well, I think especially too the young Italian players that came in had a hard time with the pressure. You know, we saw it from their veterans as well to start the game. But it'll be interesting to see what you know, Coach does in the second half in terms of playing those young guys.
Well, Montero only able to make 2 for 3 for the charity stripe. The Italians still with a 1-point lead. Montecchio goes in again. Oh, baby, are you kidding me? Simone Fontecchio with the throwdown. Going in for another penetration. Again, it's another travel called against Angola's number 2, Makonda.
And this is what you need from Fontecchio. You know, you see it here. I mean, the confidence to make the play, but in this quarter, he has really stepped up for them. Another great finish here.
Well, Fontecchio putting the entire Angolan defense on alert there. I think he was disappointed when he got the foul called against him. And maybe that's something he needs to kickstart his game. Italians leading by 3 points. Potentially could go 2 for 1. It's now Fontecchio for 3. Still can't get it going from the perimeter. The Italians fighting for offensive rebounds. Goes out of bounds. That will be possession back to Angola.
And a really important 39 seconds here. You know, we think about the end of the first quarter. It really could have been worse for Angola. Have another 2 for 1 opportunity. Can they take advantage of that here?
Well, 39.3 seconds left. Angola currently trailing by 3 points. confidence needs to be the key of their offense. And that's going to be the final team foul for Italians. So Montero will go back to the charity stripe.
Yeah, that's a really bad foul there. I know Fontecchio's disappointed in himself, giving them the 2-for-1 opportunity with a foul that really wasn't necessary.
Well, Fontecchio picking up now his second personal foul here in the game. The Italians, 3 players so far with 2 fouls, Matteo Spaniolo and Marco Spissu. While for Angola, Silvio de Souza, he has 3 fouls. He had to go to the bench early on. Makes the second one now. 1-point deficit with 33.5 seconds left. Now Gigi Datome checking again. The Angolan players looking relatively relaxed right now.
I mean, they got to feel good. You know, again, they've been given the 2-for-1 opportunity with the silly foul. If they can come up with a stop here, potentially have a chance to come into the half with a lead.
Well, neither the Italians or the Angolans want to commit any more fouls, and they don't want to send each other to the free throw line. If Angola can get a stop here, a 2-for-1 could be on. Well, Melli going baseline. Melli going up, and again, he misses his own dunk. Stefano Toner wants to dribble this down for the very last shot. Toner goes baseline, goes into the reverse left, and again, a beautiful move by Stefano Toner. And again, that is the end of the first half as the Italians, they hold on to a slender 3-point lead against Angola. The opening game, he went baseline, avoids every block, and a little bit of a reverse layup.
Yeah, great finish there, and he's really been the difference in this half. You know, he's found ways to attack those closeouts, finish at the rim. You know, Tonet, one of the more athletic players for Italy, so great first half from him.
Well, we're going to take a look at some of the stats and the highlights here from the first half. And again, we would like to welcome you to the Philippine Arena at the 19th edition of the FIBA Basel World Cup. Currently, the Italians leading by 3 points here against Angola. Angolans playing with confidence, but a lot to think about for Coach Pep Clados with his team as they go into the halftime talk. Okay, what is going to be the key thing that's going to separate these two teams? But, you know, as we look at the stats here, the Italians, 3 for 20 from the perimeter. I mean, that is quite a surprising stat to see from such a very good team.
I mean, I think that's the biggest one. And, you know, obviously the first game of this tournament, there's always a little bit of that, trying to find a rhythm, getting used to the rims, the court. But also, too, I mean, I think the pressure has bothered them. Some of these shots were rushed a little bit, maybe not, you know, not at a pace they're used to taking them on.
Well, rebounds definitely going in favor for the Italians, but also the assist. The one thing Angola does have over Italy has been steals. They have 4 steals so far. Oshilde Dundao leading the scoring so far for Angola. But again, you know, for the Italians, they need to find a bit of inspiration in their play. Stefano Tonet, their top scorer, 12 points. And Filipino fans coming to the Philippine Arena, capacity of 55,000 seats, just to see Angola take on the Italians. One of the key players from the game so far, Simone Fontecchio, currently with 8 points, 1 rebound, and 2 assists, while Bruno Fernando, well, this is a battle of the NBA players. He has 8 points, 2 points, and 6 rebounds away from a potential double-double for Angola. But again, it's quite an exciting matchup with 2 different players you wouldn't necessarily see guard each other, but it's great to see them really performing for their national teams.
No, absolutely. I mean, that's what makes these events so exciting. You know, to see the best players in the world suiting up for their national teams, it's always special.
Well, here are some of the key highlights and plays from the first half. While we show you these plays, please go get something to drink, something to eat, but don't go anywhere too long. We'll be back momentarily. But yeah, Coach, one thing I was impressed with the Angolan backcourt is, you know, also showing no fear in attacking the Italians' defense inside the paint.
No, absolutely. You know, Jerson Domingos and Shilda Dundao are both, you know, really small point guards, but they've been on this stage before. They know how to finish against big bodies, and they're not afraid of the moment.
Well, Bruno Fernando, as we've seen, so far being very effective inside the paint, coming up with some offensive rebounds. Stefano Tonet showing his isolation ability, taking the Angolan defense right to school. And he has to be more aggressive as well.
I mean, he's really found his rhythm, and that's his game. You know, he's athletic. He wants to be attacking the rim, and you know, I think Angola, if there's one guy maybe they do need to space a little bit, it would be Tonet in the second half.
Well, 8 points coming from Simone Fontecchio, the player for the Utah Jazz. He was phenomenal for the Italians at the 2022 FIBA Eurobasket. Again, Francisco of SLB Benfica currently attacking the zone, but a lot to also think about for that man, Gianmarco Bozecco.
It'll be interesting to see what adjustments he does make at half. You know, he's been relatively subdued, you know, from what we're used to seeing, which is an interesting approach. You know, if this was a bigger game, I think for sure we would see him much more fiery on the sidelines.
Whatever our gender, color, belief, or capability, we are all on the same team.
We have the power to change lives through basketball.
Together, we are stronger. No matter your origin, basketball can bring everyone together. Basketball for good.
Those guys knock down shots. How about? Well, oh, nice pass.
Oh, and it's an alley-oop.
Jokic makes it look so easy.
Yeah, everything makes it look easy.
Clarver, nice bounce pass into Willie Hernan Gomez. Oh my words!
What a move! What a drive initially. Attack the basket, then the bounce pass came.
Gowrie back out to Jan now, leads his man on the floor and throws it down.
Oh! Rui Hachimura! He just ripped through the ozone layer and pounded it home to Miles Turner.
Got to get it in. It's in. Well, he breaks through, but he gets to win it. He's won it.
Provitola.
Deck behind the back pass. Oh, yes. Now we've come to play.
That's the play of the day so far.
Inland Brown. Buckle up. A windmill gets the crowd here in Shanghai to ooh and ah.
That was incredible.
That could be the player of the quarterfinals, folks.
Oh, did you see that? Matu throws it down.
Flush! That is unbelievable.
These guys will be legends in their own country, but also in the international basketball world forever.
At yung iba't ibang kwento sa malalayong lugar ang magpapalapit sa inyo. Create extraordinary moments with just a touch of a button. Live an awesome life together. dito lang sa Sela.
Nothing like Dunkin' Kevon. Pasalubong ng bayan.
When you're losing hydration, it can feel like you're up against the world's best. Nothing beats Gatorade to help replace what you've lost in sleep.
Well, welcome back, Basel fans. Second half here of the opening game of the 2023 FIBA World Cup. Currently, it's Angola taking on Italy. And again, these two teams met at the previous FIBA World Cup, and it was quite a different outcome at the end of the first half. And at the moment, Angola playing with confidence. They can see right now being led by Dundao. Gonçalves also does have 3 assists, while Fernando, he's chipping in 4 rebounds, but he has been a key player so far for the Angolans.
Yeah, you know, they're going to have to rely on Dundao and Bruno Fernando quite a bit in the second half as well. But they've got to feel great about where they are in this game right now. It'd be interesting to see what level of intensity they come out with to start the second half.
The Italians so far have done relatively a good job of taking care of the basketball. But again, here is Shilde Dundao, 8 assists away from potentially getting that triple-double. But, you know, one thing has been quite impressive is the ability for him to step up and hit three-point shots.
Yeah, you know, he had that wild rainbow one, and then he kind of found some confidence there. You know, they had the great set of him setting the ball screen for Bruno Fernando. Found a really nice look off of that, and he's a guy that also can heat up.
Well, the Angolans definitely need other players to step in and step up, and here you can see for the Italians, well, Stefano Tonnet leading the way for them with 12 points. Marcus Spisu with 5 assists, and Nico Melli, who's been, you know, so far for parts of the games, quite dominant inside the paint. He has 4 rebounds. You know, what is it for the Italians that they need to do to step up their offense?
Well, you know, I mean, obviously they need to make more threes. So some of those looks, I think, have been open looks that they typically would make. But others have been a little rushed. And I think the pressure of Angola has forced them into that. So I don't know that there's huge adjustments for them offensively. I think they've got to feel pretty good about the looks that they've got. I'm sure they're going to want to find ways to get Fontecchio more involved. They started to do that in the second quarter. I think we'll see that continue in this half.
Well, the Italians at times have been very frustrated from the Angolans defense, but it's been this man here, Stefano Tonnet, leading the way right now. 12 points, looking like arguably their most dangerous player on their offense. Simone Fontecchio also 8 points, but again, a bit of a slow start. You know, you gotta love that, of course. The Gilas Filipinas fans, they're coming in early. We are expected to set a world record tonight for most fans ever at a FIBA Basketball World Cup game.
Yeah, I mean, if anybody's not familiar with Filipino basketball, they're in for a great introduction tonight.
Well, Gianmarco Bozecco trying to rally the troops together to kind of inspire them to get their open game. Remember, the Italians have never lost to an African team at the FIBA World Cup. Could that be about to be changed? Or can Angola rewrite the story?
You know, I think his demeanor on the sideline in the second half will be interesting to watch. He's been very calm throughout this beginning of this game, despite, you know, some of the troubles that they've had. Typically a very fiery personality that they feed off. I think in his mind, he wants to be saving some of those bullets for later in the tournament. You know, he'd hate to use that now, but it might get to the point where he needs to.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, there is a QR code for the official FIBA Basketball World Cup app. Download it on your smartphone, your tablet, or your Android to get all the best stats, highlights, and news that matters to you most. Again, use that QR code for the FIBA Basketball World Cup to get the app. Well, Coach, again, if you look at some of these players, I mean, at the moment, you're going to see Achille Polonara coming back into the starting lineup with Nico Melli. You know, who in your mind, along with Stefano Tona, is going to be a key factor and almost an X factor here in the second half for the Italians?
Well, you know, in terms of X factor, I would say Smisu. You know, they need somebody to knock down perimeter threes. He's a guy that can really heat up. And especially with Melli handling a fair amount against the pressure, that puts Smisu into more of a catch-and-shoot role.
Well, Lucchini inbounding this one. The Angolans getting the first possession. Trailing by 3 points. They have led by as many as 7 points in the early stages. Trying to go for a penetration, but Melli's help side defense making it impossible now for Angola. Down coming off the high screen. He's made one like this before, but he can't get it. Melli secures a rebound. Speaking looking to push this one. The Italians getting the ball up the court very quickly. Remember, Bruno Fernando does have 2 fouls, so Polonara could do his team a world of wonder if he gets him to commit a third one. Tony looking to kick this one out to Polonara with the pump fake. Well, Melli's got to shoot this one into the shot clock, and again, counted. Well, the assist coming from Achille Polonara.
Yeah, good patience there from Italy to work the ball around, find the shot that they wanted.
You can see so far, Francisco Gonçalves, Dundao, Bango, and Fernando currently on the floor here for Angola. Now they trail by 5 points. Time winding down now. Angola's got to get something here. Kenny has to take a tough one. A step back three. Again, they cannot get this one. The Italians winning their identity from the defense down the other end. Fontecchio draws the contact, doesn't get the and one, but he'll go to the free throw line. A strong move there by Simone Fontecchio.
And those are those possessions that really hurt for Angola. You know, late clock, contested 2, leads to a run out for Italy. They've got to be really disciplined when they do get into the half court.
Well, Simone Fontecchio, as we said time and time again, has really represented his national team at the very highest level. We talk about the 2022 FIBA Eurobasket, but of course, the Tokyo Olympics again. You know, he really surprised a lot of people of how great he was.
Absolutely. You know, his development over the last couple of years has been great to watch. I think there's no question he's going to be the next Italian great.
Putting his name in the history books for some of the greats, such as Gianluca Basile as well, one of the key players for the Italian national team in 2004, who played alongside his coach, Gianmarco Bozecco. He's getting a call for the foul now. Angola trailing by 7 points early in the third quarter. Dundao trying to orchestrate the offense so far for Angola. Yeah, it's going to be a lucky foul. I think the Italians will be very disappointed because Angola quite clearly out of control on that offense.
You know, it looks like they overruled it. So the the baseline official was ruling the block. Sideline official had a charge, and he did one of those put your hands in your pocket, pretend like nothing happened.
Well, Joseph Bango is going to get called for the charge. And you can see a lot of congestion inside Angola's offense, unable to really spread the floor and develop a smooth half-court set.
Yeah, interesting play there. They had their guard underneath as if they were coming into Spanish pick and roll, so not really a place you want a short roll out of.
Italians with a chance to maybe make this a double-digit lead, but again, they've only made 3 3-pointers out of 20. And Fontecchio just down right to the bucket, and nobody able to stop him.
And you see Pozzecco animated now on the sideline. You know, I think this is a dangerous moment for Angola. They really need to find a basket here.
Well, Joseph Bango trying to go up, and again, he just bullies his way straight to the bucket. And that's what Angola needs now, some post points.
Yeah, and maybe that's the answer. You know, find something out of the post. Make sure you're not giving up transition on the other end.
The Italians trying to find Simone Fontecchio. Polonara, this is what he likes to do, shoot the 3-pointers, but again, the set shot, unable to get underneath it, and now Angola getting set to make a double change. Kokila will come back into the game. He takes a little bit of a breather, but also coming back in. Number 10, Antonio Montero.
Yeah, back to this Nana set, so you'll see the horns with the big popping out of it.
Well, Dundao finding Bruno Fernando. Nowhere to go there on the defense. Dundao coming off another ball screen. We're going to throw this one down. Penetrates, skies over the defense, and just gets a teardrop to go. And again, he's got to play with that confidence if Angola's going to stay in this game.
Yeah, I agree. And what a great finish. You know, he's so well versed in finishing over those bigs when he gets in there.
Well, Melly turning it over now. Angola have a chance here. Dundao throws it up, and again, well, Bruno Fernando, well, he was ready to put the entire Philippine arena on alert.
And, you know, credit to Angola. Every time you feel like Italy's about to pull away, they make a play. And often it's been these two guys. You know, Bruno Fernando, Shogo Dundao, once again on the end of something productive for Angola.
Well, the Italians built themselves a solid 7-point lead. You just kind of felt, again, here we go. But Angola, they just don't know when it's over. They refuse to throw the towel in.
No, absolutely. Credit to them. And these turnovers, you know, if they can get 1 or 2, they feed off of it. So maybe this will lead to some momentum for them.
2-possession game right now. The Italians leading by 4 points. Another turnover. Fontecchio didn't see it coming. Bruno goes into the Euro step, draws a contact, and another foul against Melly. So Bruno will go back to the free throw line.
Yeah, and you know, one of the great things about the World Cup, when these players get on their national teams, their roles are so much different. So, you know, we're not going to see Bruno Fernando going coast to coast for the Atlanta Hawks, but here you have him, right? Gets a steal on one end, leads the break, Euro steps on the other end. You know, that's what makes these competitions so great to watch.
Angola's been relatively successful so far here from the charity stripe. Make that 13 for 15. Again, as we mentioned, neither of these two teams will want to look back and think the outcome could have been different had they made all the free throws in the opening game of this FIBA World Cup. Fernando now can make this 10 points if he makes this one. Angola cutting it down now. 1-possession game, 2 points of separation. Marcus Suisu, as we mentioned, the Italians unable to really secure this game, unable to run away with it. Suisu now with a bit of time. He'll find a 3-pointer, can't get it. The foul is going to be called against Stefano Tonut. And again, they felt that was a very aggressive attempt. I'm not quite sure who he fouled in that one. It was Kenny.
Yeah, it looked like Tonut went over the back here. Yeah, a little bit of contact on McKinney. I think that's the right call.
Well, you like to see that for the Italians going for second chances, but as you mentioned, you cannot put a hand in the back. It's one of the easiest fouls to pick up, but also one of the, I'd say, the silliest ones as well.
So it'll be interesting to see if they go back to this Nana set that they love so much.
Montero Kokila trying to set a double screen now. They want to go to Bruno Fernando. Makes a bounce pass, goes up, and Angola tie the game up. Slowly but surely, undeniably, Angola back in this one. He's trying to go to the half-court set. Tony goes baseline, finds Polonara. Double pump fakes, finds Fontecchio. Three is up, and the three is good by Simone Fontecchio.
Yeah, it's a big three there. Great response to Angola's run.
That's only the Italians' fourth three-point field goal of the evening. So far, they're 4 for 22 from downtown. Can they start to build on the perimeter shooting? Montero tries another one. He can't get it. And the Italians have numbers. Tonet hangs up in the air, and again, a solid transition play, something we haven't seen so far from the Azzurri.
Yeah, Tonet once again getting to the rim. You know, it's an adjustment Angola needs to make. They've got to keep him in front of him.
Well, we talk about the discipline of the Italians' half-court sets, but this is a team they will push the tempo. Dudau tries now three-point again. He is unconscious. Shilde Dudau with his third tray ball. We think he's feeling it right now?
I think he's always feeling it.
Well, Fontecchio made one three-pointer. Well, he goes for a step back, takes another deep one. Can't get it. Angola with a chance here. Possibly to tie the game up. We can take the lead with a three-pointer. Dudau goes up and gets rejected. Well, Nico Melli with the denial. I think the Italians are now looking very perplexed with Melli. Solid penetration and transition coming from Dudau. And again, he only had one thing on his mind. He said, "No in mi casa, arrivederci, goodbye."
You know, and it looks like it hit the side of the backboard. I think that's what they were complaining about, is they felt he took it off the glass, but it looks like it just careened off the side.
Another penetration. Tonet can't get it. Angola come up with a loose one. Dudau has Montero. Montero goes up, and again, a nice defensive play there by Fontecchio. The Italians doing a good job of recovering possession after possession.
You know, Angola with their big lineup in right now really need to look, I think, to some of these post mismatches that they have.
Well, Montero for another three-pointer. That's way off the mark, and that's not the shot. Well, Pep Claros applauding his players on at the moment, saying keep playing with that freedom, play with that confidence. 4:07 to go here in the third quarter.
We see Pajola back in the game. Let's see how he handles the pressure this go around.
Well, Gigi Datome also getting set to check back in for the Italians. Datome was one of the key players, along with Bellinelli. Another block shot there. Fernando with the rejection. Now Angola for a third time. A chance to tie it up, but they're going to go for the three-pointer. Can they take the lead? Montero secures the offensive rebound. Angola trying to settle into the half court here, trying to play with patience. And the Italians' defense is tougher than Domingo. She tries a tough three-pointer, and again, it's way off the mark. And two very poor shots for Angola. Italians only leading by a slender 2 points, one possession. Fontecchio now being heavily guarded. Time winding down here on the shot clock for the Azzurri. Fernando's going to pick up his third personal foul of the game.
Yeah, just a little too aggressive, but that foul is really going to hurt them. They need him on the floor. They need him playing with confidence and aggression. And you know, sure enough, you see Pep taking him out of the game right now.
And that is a rejection there. And another one back-to-back. Fernando saying, anything you could do, I could do better. Well, timeout now. These two teams want to talk it over. The Italians leading by 2 points here with 3:13 to go in the third. Let's go listen now to what they have to say.
Ahora entran 4 gallos frescos, Eren. Un poco más. Ustedes también. Vamos más físicos, sin comenzar a regalar. Hay que organizar rápido. Siempre vamos a jugar. Últimos segundos. Nana. L, ayuda, corta, L, pasa, sube. Vamos a jugar Nana, últimos segundos. Ataque va a estar bola mucho más grande. Okay? On defense, we don't jump on Polonara fakes. Todos, está atacando los tempos, línea de fondo. Hay que estar atento. Primera jugada ahora. 3.
Well, even great superstars like Simone Fontecchio. I mean, it's been a We talk about being a tough game for him, but already you can see 15 points, 3 rebounds, and a sublime block there on the defensive end.
Yeah, you know, he's really stepped forward, I'd say, from mid-second quarter on, and surprisingly, they're going to need this from him. You know, they're in a tight game right now, and you can see there's some doubt, especially with some of the younger players on the team.
Well, Fontecchio, here are some of his key plays. One thing you got to love about this young man is that he just attacks the rim with no fear.
Well, especially, you know, he's known as a shooter, so to see him getting his points with some really dynamic finishes at the rim is, you know, shown where his game has developed.
Well, there was the rejection against Montero, but now the Italians leading by 2 points. A nice pick and roll play, finding Gianpaolo Ricci again. He turns though, and again, you know, Coach, I don't think he realized he was wide open.
Yeah, I don't either, and that's what the pressure does. You know, it speeds them up, gets them to play at a tempo that they're not used to. Really important stretch here too from Angola with Dindao and Fernando both off the court at the same time. Where are the points going to come from for them?
Well, Angola struggled against Italy in the 2009 FIBA World Cup. At the moment, playing with confidence here. Again, Lionel Paulo just checking in the game and just drops the ball on the baseline.
Yeah, great cut. Really unfortunate he couldn't get his hands on that pass.
Well, one of the veterans, fan favorites back home in Angola, excuse me. Trying to go for penetration. Angola trying to be very physical here. That's going to be a backcourt violation yet again. Another turnover from Italy. It's been a very, very tough game for them so far here in the third.
Yeah, you know, and this is what we saw from the young players for Italy in the first half as well. I mean, obviously the moment can be big for them, but I think the pressure too has compounded some of these mistakes.
Well, they have to be collective here if they're going to try to go away with a victory. Domingos finds Bruno De Paolo again. He goes back there and he ties the game up at 54 apiece.
Yeah, and there's Paolo on the backdoor cut again. You know, almost back-to-back possessions there.
Well, no foul called. Now they're finally going to call a blocking foul against Angola. I'm still amazed to see how calm Gianmarco Bezzecco has been in this game.
Yeah, I agree. You know, there were moments there that he was sitting down with his assistant doing most of the coaching. I just feel that he, you know, for this to be the first game of the tournament, he really doesn't have to, you know, want to have to use all that energy. But, you know, if this continues the way it is, we're going to have to see that fiery Coach Bezzecco that we've gotten used to.
Well, maybe that's exactly what the Italians need, but at the moment they're going to the free throw line because Angola has put them into penalties, so Pajola just needs to step up and make these free throws. Both teams so far have been very good from the charity stripe.
Yeah, curious to see if Italy maybe goes back to the zone defense. We haven't seen that in a little while. Maybe just look to change the pace of this game a little bit here.
Well, 2:10 to go in the third quarter. These two teams also share the group with the Dominican Republic and the hosts, Gilas Filipinas, the Philippines. Again, that's going to be an exciting game later on here in the Philippine arena.
Yeah, absolutely. Italy back in the man-to-man.
Looking to tie the game up yet again. Ingles hasn't made a three so far. Still can't get it to drop. The foul is going to be called against. It's going to be called against Lionel Paulo. Coach Claros disappointed with that decision. You know, why it's such a silly foul? They're just inviting the Italians to extend their lead now. They're going back to the free throw line.
No, absolutely. That's a foul you don't want to see. You know, Italy's been struggling with their shooting and scoring, so to hand them these points off the free throw line is definitely frustrating.
Well, the Italians still have only missed 2 free throws tonight. They're now 21 for 23 for the charity stripe. Angola, again, it's, you know, not as good, of course, but 15 for 18. That's still a very good free throw shooting percentage.
No, absolutely. They'll take that any day. And, you know, we would expect some free throws with the way that Angola pressures, but it's the ones like this, that, you know, the silly fouls that are rewarding free throws that are going to hurt them.
Oh, Gigi Ditome missing the second one. The Italians with a 3-point lead. They have struggled here in the half court. Can they find something here? On this one down low. Time winding down now. English has to get something going, tries to go for the reverse layup. Paolo goes in for the offensive rebound. What a play by Lionel Paolo, because now he'll go to the free throw line. Looks like the foul is going to be called against. That's on Gianpaolo Ricci. Let's have a look at the replay here. Well, what was it like to coach that man?
Well, that's what he does. You know, he's always lurking around the rim, whether it's from cuts, whether it's from drives, offensive rebounds. And even at this age, he's a handful to keep off of the boards.
Well, we had him in the press conference yesterday in the build-up to this tournament. You know, one thing he's always said is, you know, it means so much to represent his country at any level, especially the FIBA World Cup. Now, it's his third tournament, I believe. Well,
I mean, he's a guy who's always showed up for the national team. You know, he participated in every qualifying game that I was a part of and continues to do so today.
Goes in for the second free throw, and Angola still trailing by 2 points, but just hanging in there. It's now Coach Barros making another change, so coming back into the game is Makonda, who has, you know, struggled significantly here on the offensive end, but interesting lineup now Angola's going with.
Yeah, they've got the 3 small guards in. Interesting to see how Lucchini matches up with Diatomi.
The Italians do have size here in the lineup, especially in the backcourt. Can they build on this one? Majola going baseline, kicks out. Finds Diatomi wide open, had the three-pointer, but couldn't get it. Now Angola with another chance here. Can they tie the game up? Maybe take the lead if they go for a three-pointer. Under a minute here in the third. There's the pick and pop, the three is up. No good. Fernandez unable to knock down the triple. Well, good defense by Fernandez, so they have numbers. Lucchini's going to go up, and Lucchini's going to throw it down. Well, maybe should have got an @1 there, but good defense by Angola. Again, Ricci down the other end. The Italians taking advantage of the 5-on-4.
Angola should play for the last shot here. A lot of contact on that last finish from Lucchini. Unfortunately, led to the break on the other end.
7 seconds difference between the game clock and the shot clock. Angola still trailing by 2. Well, Fernandez goes for another three-pointer, and again, it's just not dropping. I think they're going to call a foul against Gianpaolo Ricci. That's a silly foul because he's going to send Kokila to the free throw line. No, they've called a Kokila.
Wow, I'm surprised at that. I just don't see how they would have seen it that way. And that's a big, big call. You know, instead of free throws to tie it up, here we have Italy going to the line. That's a tough call.
Well, I'd have to see the replay of that one, because it did look from this perspective that Kokila tried to be very stagnant, of course, but maybe the officials saw something we didn't.
Yeah, I'm sure Angola can't be very happy about that one.
Well, Ricci currently at the free throw line here for the Italians. Also another player of this Italian national team playing in the EuroLeague for Olimpia Milano.
Yeah, now Angola has to find their composure. Obviously upset about the call, but still with a great opportunity here. Plenty of time to get a quality shot at the end of this quarter.
Well, can make this a 2-possession game now. The Italian, well, both teams have only missed 3 free throws here tonight. She knocks them both down. 4-point lead. Angola's trying to go for the last one. Eagles trying to use the ball screen now. 3 seconds left. Kenny for the 3 in the corner. 3 is up and nothing dropping from downtown. And at the end of third, the Italians holding on to a slender 4-point lead against Angola. Well, we're going to show you some stats and some highlights here from the third, but at the moment, one thing I will credit the Angolans with, they are playing with a lot of heart and a lot of spirit.
Oh, absolutely. You know, you see Pep Carlos here talking with the officials. I think he was trying to get the timeout in, you know, at the end of that last play. But, I mean, Angola's been hanging throughout. Their pressure keeps them in the game. Every time you think Italy's going to pull away, they find a run.
We're going to listen now to what these coaches have to say, but again, enjoy some of the highlights, but it's been an exciting game. One of these two teams will come out with a victory here in the opening game. Well, Well, here are some of the key plays in the third quarter. The Italians came out with a 7-point lead, and you felt they were going to run away with this one. Nico Melli with the baseline jump shot. You know, it's always been defense with the Angolans frustrating the Italians.
Yeah, you know, and that was one of the possessions where they did keep their composure, move the ball around. But I think that's been the story of this game so far. You know, Angola's been able to take them out of their rhythm because of that pressure.
Well, that was the first field goal of the third quarter from Gilson Bango. And again, that inspired Angola to go on a surge, but also Dundao, penetration, making things happy in transition. But there was a rejection. Fontecchio, I mean, he makes that block look so effortless.
You know, he's really combined the athleticism with his shooting. I think that's what's made him such a dynamic player.
Well, a double team at half court. It was a play I personally felt that should have been an and one.
Yeah, I did too, and the no call really hurt them because it led to a 5-on-4 on the other side. And then, of course, the tough call, the immediate play after that. So the last, 30 to 40 seconds of that quarter, a little bit tough breaks for Angola. They've got to regroup from that, continue to fight the way they've been doing.
Well, that was 2011 NBA champion with the Dallas Mavericks, Doug Nowitzki, working very closely with FIBA. And again, one of the things you have to credit with the work FIBA's done is really pushing the international game from the youth level, really trying to inspire younger players to one day feature for the national teams, in this case, at a FIBA World Cup.
Yeah, what better example is there than Dirk Nowitzki, what he did for that German side. Of course, now, they're talented with multiple players, but back then, I mean, he carried a heavy load for them, always showed up for international competitions.
Bit of trivia, when was Doug Nowitzki an MVP at a FIBA World Cup?
Well, that's a good question. All right, you got me, Josh.
2002 in Indianapolis.
Wow.
The former Yugoslavia becoming champions against Argentina. Well, the foul is going to be called early against Angola, something they have been guilty of, putting the Italians in the penalty early on.
Yeah, and those are those silly ones that, you can live with the fouls of aggression, but, those silly slaps early in the clock really frustrate you.
Well, Bruno Fernando back in the game. He's got 3 fouls. They need him to stay out of foul trouble. Jola finding Severini's made 1-3 early this evening. Again, good defense by the Angolans. The question is, can they chip into the deficit? Domingos kicks out to Dundao. He's got 3 so far. Can't get this one. The Italians survive.
And, I like this lineup that Angola's come out with to start the half. The 3 playmakers paired together with Gilson and Bruno, I think, is a good combination of the quick and the big.
Rashida trying to put the moves on, goes to a step back. But Severini gets an offensive rebound. Gianpaolo Ricci missed a wide open easy one, but gets a tip back. Angola just falling asleep. Gianpaolo Ricci has been frustrated so far here this evening. These plays like that and just build a little bit of momentum for the Italians. We're trying to go to Bruno Fernando here in the post. Domingos tries another 3-pointer, and again, nothing dropping for the Angolans. The Italians trying to get something here in transition. Datome, one more pass, finds Severini. 3 is up, and again, no good. Neither team really getting it clicking from the perimeter.
Yeah, you see Bruno Fernando hesitant to rotate out to the perimeter. That's what this Italian team does bring to the table. Their bigs are skilled. They can make perimeter threes. So you kind of have a battle of styles going on with these 2 lineups. Italy going a little smaller than what they've normally done, putting some shooting on the floor. How will that match up with the 2-headed monster of Fernando and Bongo?
Well, they want to get the ball back in the hands of Dundao. Heavily defended. He's off one ball screen. The Italians switching on everything at the moment. 6 seconds down here on the shot clock. Yeah, good defense by Datome. Italians looking to counterattack. Nice brush in the corner. They want to go for a 3-pointer. Another foul is going to be committed against Dundao. Coach Claros infuriated, but again, Dundao had hands all over him on the closeout.
Yeah, and those are those fouls you want to see them just have the discipline to finish the possession out. Interesting too, we have Prashida in the game for the first time. So, you know, Coach Pizzeco trying to get experience to the young guys on the roster.
Jola looking for a penetration out, goes all the way. Russia with the follow-up and a two-handed jam. Well, Coach, Angola had their last donut, but nobody called box out.
Yeah, and those will drive you crazy.
Well, Brashida just went in, just greeted himself there to a bit of prosciutto, I'd say. The Angolans trailing by 8 points. Biggest lead of the game so far for the Italians. Bruno Fernando tries to go baseline. A blocking foul is going to be called against the Italians. So that's much better from Bruno Fernando. But look at it again. One thing you got to love about a player like Brashida, there's some penetration. Waiting for a bit of seconds, and again, set molto grazie. The Angolans paying for not boxing him out. Well, it's going to be a baseline possession now to Angola. Two teams, 2 team fouls each.
Yeah, I'd like to see Angola use some of the size advantage that they have right now with Fernando and Bongo. You know, with Italy going small, switching 1 through 5, I think there are opportunities to post up that they should try to explore.
Well, Domingos will inbound this one for the Angolans. Kenny trying to get something going from the perimeter. Bongo trying to post up. Richie being very aggressive. Kenny struggled so far. He puts up a Hail Mary three-pointer. And somehow, some way, he turns at Coach Claros, and Claros says, "Get back on defense."
And, you know, that's the Angolan flair right there. You know, Dundao always coming up with a big play, keeping them in the game.
Well, Richie goes for the pick and pop. Again, just went inside the mid-range. He easily tucks that one away. He's holding on to a 7-point lead. Angola's about to make a change. About to bring Francisco back into the game. Trying to go down low here. Again, too big, too strong, and simply, Bruno Fernando is just too good.
Yeah, I think they should go to that more. You know, they can really anchor their offense by playing out of the post through him.
Angola has 2 team fouls. They're trying to be very physical here on defense, but the one thing they don't want to do is send the Italians to the free throw line too early. Well, good defense. Well, the shot clock has been reset. I don't think it should be, and then the official's going to have to stop the game.
Yeah, I think they missed this. This should be a shot clock violation.
They still haven't turned it over. That's a very interesting development now. She's looking for a step back. Italians nowhere to go on defense.
Yeah, and that is a tough. I mean, they defended almost perfectly for 36 seconds. So another tough break for Angola there.
Well, it's interesting there because they defended the pick and roll so well. It was going out of bounds. I don't know what was left on the shot clock, but it should not have been reset to 24.
Yeah, I think the officials missed that one.
It's going to be a baseline possession now, too, on the sideline, excuse me. Angola making some changes already. Italians getting in with Nico Melli, checking back into the game, trying to give them a little bit more size and inspiration inside the paint. Montecchio for the mid-range, step back, can't get it. And Bruno Fernando secures the rebound. Angola slowly believing in themselves now. They've had to come back in every quarter. But here's where Angola has struggled, Coach. Half-court sets has been something they haven't been too strong at. Francisco almost turning it over. That's Bruno Fernando has a little bit of a step back. Can't get it. Francisco's got to go up with it. And, we have an offensive foul called against, I believe, Leonel Paulo.
Yeah, I think that's the right call. Unfortunate break there. But Leo was clearing out that baseline defender.
Well, Benfica's Francisco almost had a wide open layup and could have cut it down to a 3-point ball game. Yeah, Paulo's going to get called.
Yeah, you know, I don't know now. Now that I've seen that replay, I think that's a little ticky-tacky. Melli can absorb contact better than that. Not a fan of that call.
I'd say Leonel Paulo very disappointed because I think he did everything right there to make sure Francisco got the offensive rebound. Well, then you can see Fontecchio going in like a George Gervin Iceman with a finger roll there.
Yeah, and he did it with his left hand, so, you know, really showing his skill sets on that one.
Well, goes up and gets rejected. Well, Nico Melli becoming an Italian insurance policy right now, a solid rim protector. Well, Fernando spins out. Melli says, buonanotte, arrivederci, goodbye. No mi casa. That is solid rim protection by Nico Melli, but at the moment, we're going to have a timeout as these two teams want to talk it over. But yeah, Angola almost found themselves back in this game, and now it is a 7-point deficit yet again.
Yeah, you know, they I think found a little something with Fernando out of the post. I'd like to see them go back to that when they are in the half court.
Venga a fazer un bloqueo. ¿Sí? A Bruno. Bruno. Cortas aquí. Nelson abre. Eduardo. Haces ver que venga a bloquear, más lo que queremos es que recibas aquí dentro. Boom y apunta. Le vas a mirar aquí y vas a pasar bola a Eduardo. Eduardo, recibe abajo, básquet y falta. ¿Sí? Más, Bruno, no cortes por aquí. Corta por encima. Que busque nomás. Tú como si no estás abajo.
Well, here are some of the key plays. Dow hitting his 4th three-pointer of the game. Love the reaction whenever he scores a three-point. He kind of does that sort of bang-bang motion. But Coach Claros said on that one, get back on defense.
He shot that one out of the atmosphere. But that's what he does. You know, he makes big plays. He's able to shoot over players much taller than him.
Well, currently in the game, he has 15 points at the moment. He's 18 points, excuse me, shielding Dow. Angola here at the moment, trailing by 7 points. Fernando trying to get something going here. Just one down low to Bango. Now Fernando tries a three-pointer. Way off the mark. Francisco the offensive rebound. Bruno attacking. That's going to go out of bounds, but that will come off of Nicolo Melli. That will be a baseline ball to the Angolans.
Yeah, you know, I know Bruno feels the pressure to fill that perimeter big role, but I'd really like to see him get back on that low block a little bit more.
Fernando looking for a handoff now. Trying to go baseline, but suffocated defense coming from Gianpaolo Ricci. Time slowly winding down now. Angola has 3.4 seconds left here on the shot clock.
Yeah, they need to come up with something good here.
Well, they get the ball inbound to Montero. Montero fakes it. Montero baseline goes up and gets it to drop right at the time moments. Well, he fooled everybody on the defense.
That was a great fake handoff there. Maybe even an and one. Big play when they really needed it. Good execution.
Cutting it down to a 5-point ball game. The Italians still with the momentum. Ricci wide open for three. The three is up, and the three is good. And he turns at Gianmarco Bezzecco. Well, that's a big-time three-pointer by a big-time player.
Yeah, and that's what Ricci does. You know, that's where Bruno Fernando is not used to having to go out on that perimeter to defend bigs. But certainly with Ricci as his matchup, he's going to have to get out and contest on that.
Well, where the Italians have struggled from the perimeter here this evening, right now with under 4 minutes to go, they currently lead by 8 points. That is a big, big three for momentum.
It absolutely is. And, you know, if they're able to stretch the defense a little bit with their shooting, that's going to change the dynamic of the game.
Well, the Angolans definitely need a response here. Just about finding Shirley Dundao. That's the penetration now, splits the defense. Found a much better play by Dundao. He'll go to the charity stripe, and much needed 2 free throws for the Angolans.
Yeah, you know, Shilda able to find that little hole to get through, and he's so crafty once he gets in there.
He's got to play with that confidence, keep attacking the basket. That's the 13th foul against the Italians here in the 4th quarter. 3:41 to go. This is the opening game for these two teams in Group A of the 2023 FIBA World Cup.
important free throws here, you know, not only for the score, but to set their press. I think they're going to need to force a few more turnovers here to finish this game out for them. You know, find some momentum off their pressure once again.
Boy, missed the second free throw. Angola has been relatively good so far from the charity stripe, but at the moment they need the defensive stops from Angola. There's another silly foul by Francisco because Stefano Tona's going to go to the free throw line.
Yeah, and you know, that's really been the difference in this game. The free throws that they've given up and the ones off of plays like that. Young player, first time on the big stage, but he's got to know better than to draw this foul.
Well, he's played with some great players this year, such as Ivan Almeida, who's currently playing for Cabo Verde, Japan's location for this FIBA World Cup. When you play for a great team like Benfica, you have to identify you cannot commit a foul when you already have 14 fouls and there's 3:30 to go, being down by 7.
Yeah, absolutely, and you know, that's part of his growth process. But certainly in that moment, that's a foul that hurts.
Stefano Tona, who's the top scorer at the end of the first half for the Italians, can extend this now to a 9-point ball game. He does just that. The Italians now seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. A three-pointer would be big now for Angola. They have struggled immensely from the perimeter, as have the Italians. English now looking for a penetration. That's Bruno Fernando in the corner. Three is up, no good. Italians come up with a loose ball. 3 minutes to go. But another foul's gonna be caught here against Angola. So now Stefano Melli will go to the free throw line.
Yeah, you know, they just need to show a little bit more discipline. Obviously feeling the pressure of a 9-point lead with 3 minutes to go, but these are the fouls that just have been hurting them all game long.
That's good discipline there by Nico Melli, because he can easily just swing his elbows around and pick up a silly offensive foul, but you know, he initiated the contact, identifying that they were in the penalty, so he just steps up now for these 2 free throws.
Well, I also think it speaks to his skill sets that, you know, Italy chose to have him be the press break man, you know, with their guards not bringing it up. So, you know, for your center to have to handle that all game long, real testament to Melli and how, you know, how skilled he is as a big man.
They can't get the second free throw, but it is a 10-point ball game, and he's already get an offensive rebound. Well, Melli spinning out now, kicks out here to Fontecchio. Wide open for the 3-point, but again, unable to capitalize. Now or never now for the Angolans. Under 3 minutes, trailing by 10. Bango looking for a post-up. Spins around, goes up, and a beautiful post move by Gilson Bango.
And even with the time, I feel like they could play through those posts. They have matchups that are favorable to them. If they're stuck in a half court, find an early post touch, play out of that.
Well, try to gamble on the defense. Tona turns it over now. Angola have numbers. Now Ken trying to go with the spectacular behind the back pass. But that could be very costly here for Angola.
Yeah, that was a big turnover there. Trying to go with a little flash when you really just want a solid finish there.
Patience needs to be the key here. Fontecchio go for the penetration, avoids the block, and again, a beautiful move by Simone Fontecchio. Extending Italy's lead back to 10 points. We'll look for another post-up here. Got it heavily by Nico Melli. Swinging around, another rejection. Nice play there, help side defense coming from Gianpaolo Ricci.
Yeah, I think they're looking to explore the wrong matchup, though. You know, to me, I'd like to see them go with Bruno with Fontecchio guarding him there.
Well, it's been a tough game so far for both these two teams, but you know, it does look like it's going to be the case. The Italians are going to stay undefeated against African teams here at the FIBA Basketball World Cup. And, you know, a lot of positives as well for Angola to take away from this game.
Yeah, no question. You know, they've got to feel good about their effort. They hung in there right to the very end. Hopefully they can find some confidence because really in this group, that second spot is up for grabs. So I don't think anybody would have thought this game would have been as close as what it's been. Can they use that momentum heading into these next games?
Well, Coach Claros infuriated with some of his defense from some of his players, but well, there you can see the man, the myth, the legend, as well as the head of the Philippine Basketball Federation of the SBB. But it's always great when you've got one of the greatest international players of all time in the building.
Oh, absolutely. And, you know, it's a testament to FIBA and the events that they put on that players such as Dirk come back to show up.
Los dos grandes abajo, los dos. Tú vas a hacer el pick and pop y cuando pases el pop, pasas abajo. Los dos abajo, picas a frente. Hay que recibir bola. ¿Tú crees que estamos para pasar bola?
Well, again, you know, it's very interesting when you look at the statistics from the field goals perspective. Not a lot separates these two teams. The only thing you could say that does separate them is the free throws. Is that a case of Angola's defense at times lacking discipline?
Yeah, I think you really said it there. You know, there's going to be free throws. They play aggressively. They definitely get, you know, foul more than most teams, but it was the costly ones, you know, the ones that were early in the shot clock, extended up the floor, that led to the free throws that, you know, for them to upset a team of Italy's level, they just can't do.
I mean, you know, the Angolans have been good from the charity stripe, 17 for 22, but the Italians have taken 30 free throws tonight. They've made 9 more for that matter.
Yeah, it's hard to beat a team that goes to the free throw line that much.
Down, trying to go for a backdoor play. Good ball movement here from the Angolans. 3 is up, no good. Offensive rebound by De Souza. Oh, nice block shot by Melli, denying Bruno Fernando. Solid defense from the Azzurri. We have seen that all evening, as well as Angola. They have shown good defense too, but at the end, there can only be one winner. Well, Fontecchio going in and around the defense. Kicks out to Richie. The 3 is up, no good. Just over 35 seconds left. The Angolans have failed to capitalize. Well, the Italians, job done so far. And as we mentioned, they will stay undefeated as now the home crowd giving them a bit of a standing ovation. It's been a tough game for the Italians, to say the least.
Yeah, you know, it really has. I don't think they would have expected that it would be such a tough game.
Spezia going in now, making it a 14-point ball game. And even though the Italians will leave with a victory, the Angolans, they have competed very well here. And as you mentioned, second place still up for grabs. But ladies and gentlemen, we thank you for joining us here in the opening game of the 2023 FIBA Basel World Cup. But currently, the Italians, they win this one 81-67 against Angola. Italian fans enjoying the occasion. And Coach Boyd, I'm telling you, we're in for a big one later on.
Yeah, I'm really excited for that. You know, obviously an opportunity to be a part of the biggest crowd ever in World Cup history, but also really kind of the 2 front runners for that second spot. I think both teams see it that way, so I expect there to be a lot of intensity in that game.
The Italians, heavy favorites, of course, to be the top team in this group. But I mean, take nothing away from the Dominican Republic. A great team as well, knocking out Argentina to get to this level, and also featuring one of the greatest NBA players, Carl Anthony Towns. But that game will be later on. We're going to show you some stats and some highlights here from this game. Gianmarco Bezzecco shaking hands with Simone Fontecchio, probably the best player in this game.
Yeah, I mean, he really stepped up the way that you expected him to. You know, a little slow start, but I think once he felt the need of his team, he was there for them, and that's what star players do.
A lot of positives for Angola to take away. The key thing for them is, you know, we talked about defense, but the Azzurri, Andiamo Italia, in Bocca Lupo, as they would say back in one of the most beautiful countries in Europe. The Italians only shot 5 3-point field goals compared to Angola's 4, but free throws was the undefining X factor in this game.
Yeah, you know, I think a lot of those looks are kind of attributed to that first game jitters.
Well, 41 rebounds between them. Angola in the end had 8 more steals, which is quite interesting, but 9 assists did beat. You know, it was a 9-assist difference, of course, but Fontecchio, leading scorer, also had 5 rebounds. But no doubt, what a phenomenal shooting night he had from the perimeter.
Yeah, he really did. And, you know, let's not overlook Tona, who, you know, 12 of those points came in the first half when other players really didn't have a great rhythm. I thought that was a really important part of them staying tight in that first half.
Simone Fontecchio finishing the game, as we mentioned, with 19 points and 5 rebounds, 2 assists. I mean, outstanding performance from his standards, you know, how great he was. He is our TCL player of the game here at the FIBA World Cup. Phenomenal performance. Italian players, they head back into the dressing room. Momentarily, we'll show you some highlights here from this opening game. Well, solid play for the Italians, building a little bit of momentum, but going after offensive rebounds. Trying to jump out of Richie with the tip in. The Angolans getting guilty of not boxing out there. Something they'll definitely think about in the next game.
Yeah, you know, I think the big word for them is discipline. I mean, they made some really great plays. They hung in there tough, but there were just too many of those sloppy mistakes, whether it's missed blockouts, you know, fouls they shouldn't have committed that inevitably hurt them in this game.
Well, there was the follow-up dunk. Somebody forgot to box out Proshida, and he went in, just delivered a bit of prosciutto on that one. Well, he's a phenomenal young talent, definitely someone to look out for the future, but here was the perimeter shooting from Shilde Dundao. And he only seems to want to make them when the shot clock's expiring.
Well, he definitely came up big when they needed him. You know, he's a dynamic player. I think he had at least, you know, 2 rainbow shots that you never thought he could even get off. So, you know, a big game for him.
Well, you would have wanted to have seen this game go right down to the wire. Bruno Fernando showing how dominant he can be inside the low block. Again, he's going to need some help from his teammates if they're going to try to compete here in Group A. It's a tough group, as we mentioned. Dominican Republic, also with the Philippines. But Simone Fontecchio, I mean, that looks like George Gov in an Italia jersey.
I don't think people realize how difficult that was with the left hand. You know, it's making it look easy there, but all skills on display for Fontecchio tonight.
Phenomenal start here for the Italians. Had to really work for Angola, really pushing them. Justin Bango also showing a nice little back down. I mean, as a coach, you know, coaching internationally in the Olympics, also in the G League, and me as a fan, of course, I love to see the back down post play.
You know, honestly, I was surprised we didn't see it more from them. I think that's where they held the advantage. They had size. Italy went with that small lineup in the 4th quarter, and I felt like they should have explored that a little bit more.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us here in the Philippine Arena. Our next game will take on a little bit later as Gilas Pilipinas will take on the Dominican Republic. You're going to see Jordan Clarkson of the Philippines against Carl Anthony Towns. But for now, it's goodbye, and we'll see you very soon.
The main course will start pretty soon, so enjoy your time in the Philippine Arena. Go and get your 50% discount because the grand opening ceremony of FIBA Basketball World Cup will start here in a few minutes. We recommend to be back at your